Hello and welcome to Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality, with me, Natasha. So this is a bit of a spontaneous video, but I was really inspired by a conversation I was having with a friend earlier about the journey I've been on with regards to finding my authentic way in life. And the message I really want to kind of communicate today is that there is no right way for you to walk this path. As in, there is no standard, there is no set of like rules, there's no template that you need to follow in order for you to be living a spiritual life or an authentic life. There is no right way to do this. Of course, there are moral and ethical implications here in the earth plane, but what I mean is, especially in the spiritual community, there can be a lot of dogma and there can be a lot of spiritual ego around what a spiritual life looks like. And believe me, I've sampled a lot of them. You know, I have been on this journey now for 7 years, you know, consciously awakening to the multidimensionality of this experience of our soulful and, you know, very human nature. And I've sampled I've tried on a lot of these different, you know, outfits, these different spiritual personalities. I've sampled a lot of the different frequencies that circulate in spiritual communities around what the right way to be is, right? Is it the monastic way where you don't give a shit about the material world and you know, you give up worldly possession and pleasure and, you know, you live a life of devotion to the degree where you don't focus on, creating wealth for yourself or creating security for yourself, and you just focus on that kind of transcendental journey. I've sampled that. I've been there. You know, I got to the degree where I was so uninterested and really not invested in the material at all. I was completely driven by the spiritual or the non-physical dimension of my being. But I've seen that can be a path, and that can be certain people's path. And if you're going to walk that path, certain conditions really help, like living in, you know, an ashram, monastery, dedicated environment where you can really devote yourself in that way. But I know that in this life, I've lived that life, and I've had previous incarnations where I followed that path. In this life, I know that I'm here to be more embodied in my humanity and actually to accept and to descend my consciousness into my humanity fully. It's the feminine way. And so I've had to really reroute and reframe how I approach my individual journey, about, you know, and really kind of reconsider what the right way is. And what I really want to just kind of relay today is that there is really no right way for you to live your life. In my opinion, life in itself is the spiritual journey. Whether you're conscious of that or not, life is the spiritual path. We are all on a spiritual journey, in that we are all souls experiencing the human experience, whether we're conscious of that or not. And so there is no right way for you to be a soul experiencing the human experience. You can go and live the monastic existence, right? And withdraw from mainstream society, devote yourself in the way that a monk or a nun would. You can be completely immersed in the material and feel really, you know, you can feel a deep desire to experience the sensual, the pleasure-filled aspects of this material existence. And when I was speaking to my friend today, we were talking about how it can be so easy to get stuck or locked into kind of almost like mental cul-de-sacs, right? And we kind of hit a dead end about thinking that our way is the right way. And I've been there, trust me, I've been there, and I'm still having to watch myself with regards to believing that, you know, I know the way, or I know all there is to know as a very intellectual and mentally stimulated person. I hunger for a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight. And so there can be a spiritual ego that's built around that. And I'm very aware of that for myself. So when I was talking to my friend, we were speaking about living arrangements. So that's probably a good example to give. We were talking about how we have a friend who says that they will never live with a man, and if they find a partner that they want to be with, they want them to have separate homes, and how that's a more healthy way to be in relationship. And I can understand why that could be a more healthy dynamic. That is also something I have considered for myself in partnership. But I'm also moving through a process where I'm now considering that actually it'd be really juicy to cohabit with a partner, but have separate spaces for us to go to so we can really kind of explore and embrace our individuality. And neither of those things are wrong. Living separately from your partner in a romantic, intimate container is not wrong. Living with your partner in a romantic, intimate container is not wrong. There is no right way. You are here as a unique expression of consciousness, experiencing like a unique form to live life on your terms, on your authentic terms. And so it's kind of, this message is really just to remind you that you could chuck out the rule book. You don't have to look to others or society or the standards that have been presented to you by the mainstream in any community, right? Mainstream spirituality. You don't have to look to anything outside of yourself to get an idea of how you're supposed to live. Your heart knows, your body, your being knows, your soul is always communicating with you via the body, via the heart, via your centers. You don't need to be emulating another way in order to be doing it the right way, because there is no right way. There is only your way. That's the message today. There is no right way. There is only your way to walk this journey. So I really advise you and invite you to trust your innate guidance system, because whatever you're being intuitively guided to is what your soul wishes to experience in this life. And what your soul wishes to experience and express through you may look nothing like anyone else that you know or anyone else that you've seen in the world. And this will lead me on to like another video that I want to make about soul mission and purpose, because we're here to pioneer a new way as expressions of consciousness that have never been nor ever will be again. We are always pioneering. Every single human on the planet is a pioneer in that way. And so that's what your journey is about. You are here to be a pioneer and to recognize that there is no right or wrong way to do this journey. There is only your way. And your only real mission in this life, your purpose, if you like, is to decondition so that to the point where you can begin to experience and understand your soul's unique language and how it wishes to express through you, and then live accordingly. And some additional insight that has come to me recently is that this is where the ego and the soul can kind of come into a marriage, because the ego is really the soul's like minion. The ego is the human aspect that allows us to maintain a sense of healthy individuality and be connected to our bodies and the earth plane. Without the ego, we would be blobs. So your ego is here to, I don't want to say enforce, but perhaps enact on whatever directives it gets from your soul. So the soul is the master here, not the mind ego or the ego mind construct. And the ego is here to exercise the soul's desires in the physical world. So get creative with what you're here to do, right? If you're interested in learning more about perhaps what your unique path might look like, I would advise you to look into what your North Node is in astrology. Your North Node, as I've spoken about briefly on this channel before, is your soul path, soul mission, what your soul wishes to express through the human body and vehicle in this life. So what this incarnation is kind of inviting you to experience. Maybe I'll make a separate video about North Nodes in astrology. I'm not an astrologer, I'm just really fascinated by the system. So, yeah, I hope this message serves to remind you that there really is no right way for you to walk this path of awakening. There is no right way. You may feel called to work with plant medicine. You may feel called to work with crystals, oracle cards. You may feel called to work with, you know, shamans or traditional lineages of whatever system you feel drawn to. You may actually not feel called to interact with spiritual systems or items at all. You may feel just called to what we could consider like a conventional life, but from the conscious standpoint. There is no right way. So please, I really invite you and encourage you to trust your unique guidance, your unique embodied knowing of your own journey. Your soul knows the way. That is your authority in this life. Your soul is the authority. Okay, there is no greater authority than your innate knowing. So I hope this helps. I hope this serves. This is a message that's been rattling around for me for years, because I was someone that was really anchored in this sense of there is a right way and it looks like this, you know, especially when I was really exploring Buddhism and like Buddhist concepts and yoga. Yoga was the system that I really built a lot of my spiritual understanding around. And in the last 2 years, I've really been walking the path of remembrance with regard to the feminine. And the feminine is disruptive, and the feminine is not, I mean, in Tantra, the feminine is certainly more embodied in the practices and the system, but actually in a lot of these kind of traditional systems, spiritual systems, yoga, Buddhism, even Qigong, they are masculine in their approach. And so the feminine has really disrupted, and the Kundalini, of course, her essence being feminine, this process for me has really disrupted what I thought the right way was, and it's actually waking me up to the fact that there really is no right way. So as a guide, I can't tell you what the right way is for you, because only you know that. But I can, you know, with these transmissions and in sessions and however else I connect with you, and I can invite you to reflect and come back to your own innate wisdom. And that's really the point and purpose of any guide, any teacher. It's just to point you back to your own guidance system and use that as the authority. So this is just a brief transmission today. I'm sending you so much love. As always, comments, questions, I welcome it in the comments section. Let's keep it respectful of one another, please. And if you're not already subscribed and you like this type of content, please hit the subscribe button. Feel free to like and share. It really helps with the algorithm picking up my channel. And I look forward to connecting with you again really, really soon.